Okay, so welcome back. This is Beatty Carmichael with GetSellersCallingYou.com. Please visit that website if you want some really great content on how to market your business, podcasts, and other things like that. So this is the third of a three-part series that I'm doing on real estate farming letters. And while this focus isn't really on the letter itself, this is on probably something even more important than the real estate farming letter, and that is, where are you farming? Okay, so if you want to see the other two versions of the videos, you can just go back to part 1 and part 2, and you should find them. So I've got my notes down here, and there are a lot of little details. I would encourage you to have a pen and paper handy on this one, because I'm going to give you some really specific things to look for. First, let's just talk at a big level. Why does it matter which farm you go after? Well, because you're investing money. Do you want to get a little return or a big return? It costs the same amount of money to farm an area, but you may get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times the return if you just do it right. So, as the old adage in construction, measure twice, cut once. Well, the most important thing is to prepare, and farming is definitely no difference on that. So let's talk about this. Let me give you a background of why I can speak on this. So I've been in consumer marketing for over 20 years. I started with realtors in 2012 as we shifted the focus of our company, and we've exclusively worked with realtors since 2012. And from the very beginning all the way up to today, we focused with geographic farming. We've added now into it really kind of the bigger thrust. What we do today is doubling and tripling sales and referrals from your personal contacts. But it's out of all the stuff that we tested and proved profitable and effective in geographic farming. So we've done a lot of stuff, and we just delved deep into it and have understood it and dissected it probably deeper than most people out there. So here's a couple of things that you need to be doing. So to pick the right farm, the first thing you want to look at is what's called turnover rate. Okay. Now, everyone gets confused when I give the mathematical formula turnover rate, but here's a simple way to understand it. Let's say that you're looking at a neighborhood that's got 500 homes, okay? And you're looking at 2 neighborhoods, they both have 500 homes. One has 50 homes that sold last year, and the other has 20 homes that sold last year. 50 and 20, which of those are you going to go to? Okay, 50 and 20, right? That's how it works. So which farm do you want to target? You want to target the 20 sales or the 50 sales? You have 2.5 times greater likelihood of making successful return over here than here, because there's 2.5 times more sales. So that's what's called turnover, okay? Okay, the technical definition of turnover, and you'll need to know this, is the percentage of sales as relates to the total number of homes, okay? So the way that you would determine that is you would take that 50 sales, and there's 500 homes in that community, so you say 50 divided by 500, and that gets 10%, right? Okay? Over here you got 20, okay? So you take 20 divided by 500, and I don't have my math, but I think that's, if one is 10%, then that's going to be 2.5%? I don't know. But whatever it is, 4%, that's 4%. So that's turnover, okay? So step number 1 is you want to identify those areas that have the highest turnover to give you the greatest opportunity for making more money, making more sales. But turnover isn't the only thing. Then the next thing is the average sales price. So let's say, for example, you have one area that's got 50 sales, 500 homes, and another area that's got 20 sales, 500 homes. Which one is best? If you're only looking at turnover, we say this one. But what if it's 50 sales at an average $50,000 each, and over here it's 20 sales at an average $400,000 each? Now which one is better? Okay? So now what happens is when you look at one farm over another, and you try to compare them, they got different turnover rates, they have different average sales prices, and now you're just confused and say, what do I do? So there's a real simple formula. If you take the turnover rate and multiply it by the average sales price, you get what I call the sales price turnover, okay? Or you can call it whatever you want, but it is a mathematical number. And at that point, it allows you to compare every single farm apple to apple, and the one with the highest number will produce, theoretically, the highest return on investment. Okay? There are a lot of other factors, culture and demographics and things like that, but just all else being equal, the higher the number, the higher the return that you'll get. So this way, if you have a 4% turnover with $400,000 homes, let's just do the math real quick. Okay? So I've got $400,000 home, average sales price, times 4%. So I come out with a $16,000. Okay? Now let's look at the 10% with $50,000. So I've got $50,000 sales price times 10%. That's $5,000. Okay? So right over here I've got $16,000 versus $5,000 when I do that formula. That means this is now 3 times more profitable to go after than this one. See how easy it is? So that's the second step, is to do that formula. Then that lets you to compare apples to apples. Once you've done that, that's going to be your primary delineation between one farm and another, is just put them on a ranking that way. Then you want to go through, and those that rank the highest that you're considering going after, the next step is an agent dominance. You don't want any one agent to just kind of dominate that area, because if you do, you're trying to knock them off their pedestal as a newcomer, and that's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of time to finally get there. So typically an agent dominance, some people call it at 20%, some at 25%. Basically what we want to know is the higher that number, the less likely you are to get many sales out of it. So what you do is you take, let's say you have 3 farms that you've identified now, 1, 2, and 3. Go through and research all of the sales that occurred last year, and look at the selling agent, and make a list of all the selling agents. And then you want to find out the top 1 and 2 selling agents, what percentage of their sales do they have of all the sales. Okay? So let's say we have a farm that has 30 sales that went on last year, and I have an agent that did 6 of those sales. So 6 divided by 30, 6 divided by 30, that's a 20%. So that agent's got 20% of the market. Not bad. I'm right on the cusp of saying I might or might not. But let's say I look at another farm and it's got 40 sales going on, and an agent over there did 20 sales. That's 50%. I'm not even going to bother going there, even if it has a really great high number up here, because what that means is everyone knows that agent. That agent's well networked. She's entrenched, or if it's a he, he's entrenched within all his relationships. I'm not going to get business very well. I want to go where it's easy, where I have no competition. So you want to then find those areas that have a very low agent dominance in them. And then that's not all. Okay? So once you identify those, so now we're saying, okay, now these are our possible contenders. Then the last couple of things you do, and these are just what I'll call extra tweaking of your return on investment. So the next one may be your days on market. So let's say you've got 2 farms that you're considering. They both seem to be about neck and neck with everything else. Okay? One has an average days on market of 120. The other has an average days on market of 30. Which one do you choose? I go here. Why? Because that means when the home sells, it's going to sell a lot faster. I get paid a lot faster. Over here, I'm going to get paid really slow. Which do you want? If you're going to invest money, you want to get your money out faster or slower. Okay? So pay attention to days on market. Another thing to pay attention on is what I call the success rate. The success rate is what percentage of the listings actually sell. Now, this isn't as important, but it's just another data point. If you find that one farm over here, only 50% of the listings sell, and this farm over here, 98% of the listings sell, all else being equal, I want over here. Why? It's obvious. The home is going to sell. Okay, I don't have to keep turning it over and over and trying to get the thing selling. So these are some things to look at. And then the last thing. Now, this won't be impactful for short term, but for long term, this last thing could be real impactful. And that is, what is the turnover trend? Okay. Now, by the way, all of this is assuming this is an existing construction, not new construction on all of these. Okay. If you have new construction within those neighborhoods, eliminate all of the data for the new construction, because you're only looking for the sellers of existing construction. So narrow your data points down to that. So the last thing is your trend. Your turnover trend would be the general best indicator. And if you find that the turnover trend in that area is like this, then what that means is something's going on in that neighborhood. Okay, this is a downward slide, okay? Something's going on in that neighborhood that is getting slower and slower. So rather than investing, because farming is a multi-year investment, okay, it's like 3 or 4 or 5 years if you really do it, or longer, then you don't want to be investing into a sinking ship. So you want something that's been a level, or ideally maybe it's coming up like this. If you find something that's got a decent turnover rate now, but the last several years the turnover rate's been low and now it's growing, what that might mean that it's a hot area that no one's really found yet. That's where you want to attack it and jump in there and really try to entrench yourself in those relationships and in that mindset, so that as it continues to go through the roof, you're riding the wave. Okay? So hope this has been helpful. I think there's one more thing. Let's talk about narrowing it down. Okay? So these are just general things in terms of picking the right farm. But then once you pick the farm, there's some other things you can do to increase your return on investment. Okay? And in marketing, you have what's called wastage. If I'm advertising in a farm, my wastage is all those people that are never going to sell, but yet I'm still mailing them all the time because I don't know which ones are never going to sell. Okay? So if you could somehow eliminate those people who aren't planning on selling at all anytime soon, then that means you get to spend less money, make more sales per dollar, and now you got a higher return on investment. So how do you do that? Real simple. Within a lot of communities, you'll find that there's a price point that is the hottest selling price point. And so if you're targeting a farm that has a real wide range, you can't, I'm out of the screen, wide range of a price point, but maybe only this narrow part is selling, then just eliminate all the homes on either side so that you're only targeting that sliver and just hitting it more. Because if you can target the full range 12 times a year, but then if you can eliminate half of those homes and spend the same money and target it 24 times a year, you'll make a lot more money because now you're more frequently there. And the last thing you can do, in addition to narrowing the price range, you can also look at length of resident. Now this takes a little bit longer, a little bit more effort to do, but if you could go back and look at every sale that occurred in the last 12 months and make a list of what was the length of resident, how long did that owner have it before they sold it, then that's going to give you the trend in that neighborhood of what are the ranges when people typically sell their home. Okay, so now watch this. Let's say I'm targeting a group, let's say it's a 1,000 home community, just so I got some numbers to play with. I've got a 1,000 home community that I say I'm going to target here. But by narrowing it down on price point, I'm able to narrow that down to 500 homes within the price point. But then I'd say, what about the length of residence? And I'm able to eliminate all those homes within that price point that are on either side of that length of residence. And now I'm able to take that 500 and take it down to 300. I've just eliminated 700 homes. Then you do your analysis on that 300, okay, and maybe 80% of all the sales that occurred last year fit that little group of what you're targeting of 300. Now what that means is you got your marketing dollars zeroed in so narrowly that you're just going to make a killing if you do it well. So that's how you pick the right farm. So hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, please do 3 things for me. Like the video, comment on the video, and share the video. If you want more of this information, go to getsellerscallingyou.com. Great resource. It's all kinds of stuff that we've learned over the years and continue to add to it. And then if you Finally, if you want help in your own marketing, so we do things within geographic farming. Our real specialty is doubling and tripling the sales and referrals from your personal clients. Because here's what happens. Your personal clients are 8 to 10 times more responsive than that geographic farm. You can make a killing. And I know what a lot of people watching this, well, 90% of my business comes from referrals already. That's good. But the question is, how many referrals are you losing? Because only 90, so here's an example. Let's say that you know 300 people. Statistically, I won't go into the study behind it, but statistically, there's 51 sales a year what you ought to be and could be getting out of a list of 300 people you know. So if 90% of your business means that you're getting 18 sales out of that, 51 minus 18, what's that, about 30 plus or minus? About 30 sales you're losing that could have been yours. That's what we focus on. And we guarantee those sales results, or we refund your money. So if you have interest, and if you do, we only work with people at $5 million a year in volume or more. So if that fits you, then jump over to agentdominator.info and see what we have over there. And it might be helpful. Anyway, thanks for allowing me to share. Have a great day, and may God bless you.